In the same way we record accumulated distance in miles, the dosimeter records accumulated dose in Roentgens. With this in mind, let's return to background radiation. In an average lifetime, a person might expect to accumulate about 10 Roentgens from his natural environment. Not enough to affect his health. This same healthy person would need medical care if he received more than 200 Roentgens within a few days. 300 Roentgens in the same period would cause severe radiation sickness or possibly death. And as we go beyond 300 Roentgens, the danger of death increases rapidly. So now we see why shelter is vital. The difference between accumulating a large dose because of little or no shielding and a small dose because of adequate shielding is the difference between death and life. No clothing, of course, could possibly provide enough shielding. However, if you were to be in the open during fallout conditions, clothing would keep the particles from touching your skin. There is no such thing as a fallout suit, but ordinary clothing would help until you could reach the safety of a shelter. Then the fallout particles can be brushed off and outer clothing removed. If fallout settles on your food, the food itself is not harmed, since radiation damages only living tissue. And you can easily decontaminate it using almost the same methods you use in everyday food preparation. Actually, even if you accidentally swallowed some fallout particles, it wouldn't kill you. The effects, if any, probably wouldn't show up for years. Still, since there is a possibility of long-term effects, such as shortened lifespan, cancer, or hereditary damage, it's wise to remove the radioactive particles by simply washing, wiping, or peeling. But it's vital to remember this. Neither water nor chemicals can destroy radioactivity. The fallout particles can only be moved or washed away. Only time can reduce their potency. And what of water? Well, here again, the same rules apply. If necessary, you could drink water containing fallout particles without worry or immediate harm. But chances are you wouldn't have to for long, for water helps to wash itself through the natural processes of sedimentation and filtration. And swiftly moving rivers like this would carry most fallout particles downstream. In still waters, most particles would settle quickly to the bottom. Others might remain suspended in the water for a long time, while a small percent of the radioactivity would dissolve. The normal processing of a water treatment plant would make it safe to drink. And water coming from a covered well would be safe from radioactive contamination. There is no problem with breathing, for air is not contaminated once the fallout is on the ground. Fallout is not a poison gas. If ventilation is needed in a shelter, a simple inverted U fitting on a ventilating pipe would keep fallout particles from entering the pipe and getting inside. Of course, surviving a nuclear attack means more than just waiting in a shelter for radioactivity to decay to safe levels. Survival, reconstruction, and recovery would involve decontamination in many areas. A very difficult job.
Unit 8 at Elman Morse. Dose rate 15 Roentgens per hour.
Okay, Unit 8.
Fallout would have to be removed from important areas by street sweepers. And the remaining particles could be flushed out of the way. be a problem. After a nuclear attack, we would first use existing food supplies from shelters, markets, and surplus food storage. When fallout had decayed to safe levels, people could begin to work in the fields for limited periods of time. In a few areas, the land would not be suitable for food, but such crops as cotton could be grown. Crops for human consumption would be grown in areas that had received the least fallout. The reason we would be able to grow and eat food planted in this land is that the transfer of radioactivity from soil to plants is extremely low. And so, if nuclear attack should ever come, in spite of every effort to avoid it, we must be able to survive and rebuild for the future. But survival can only come through knowledge. The basic facts we must all know are relatively simple. First, there is nothing new about radiation. It has always been with us. What is new is the vast amount we would be exposed to as a result of nuclear explosions. Much of this danger would come to us in the form of fallout. But we are not without personal weapons or defense. One of these is time. Radiation decays, and so we would not have to take maximum precautions indefinitely. Another defense is distance. Radiating particles 50 feet away, for instance, would not affect us as much as particles a few feet away. And our third defense is mass. Any material with enough weight will keep the penetrating rays from hurting us. The greater the weight of the material between us and the particles, the safer we would be. The best way we can use all three weapons of defense is with an adequate shelter, thick enough to shield off a good part of the radiation until it has decayed to safer levels. When radiation attacks, the cells of our body are damaged. Most of them can repair themselves if the total dose over a period of time is not too high. Even though the rays penetrate our bodies, causing damage, they do not infect us and make us, or anything else, radioactive. That's why food remains good no matter how much radiation has passed through it. Fallout accidentally swallowed with water or food will do you no immediate harm, but for long-term safety, it's best to wash, wipe, or peel the food and filter the water. Even if you were caught outside under fallout conditions, ordinary clothing would keep the radioactive particles from touching your skin, but you would still need to find shelter quickly. If we remember these facts, if we act on them intelligently, we can increase our chances of surviving nuclear attack. And the key to survival is adequate shelter. That is why the federal government has a nationwide fallout shelter program. The goal is adequate fallout shelter space for every man, woman, and child. And this goal can be reached. For with knowledge of radiation, we can face the facts about fallout, take action to protect ourselves, and learn how to live in the nuclear age.